Hey folks, and welcome to Squidcast Episode 2. Today we're going to be taking a look at Star Wars Edge of the Empire, and more specifically a session I ran of it last week for these guys here. So say hi guys.
Hi, I'm Neil. I'm in the Red Squid.
Hey, I'm Dace. I'm the purple squid.
And I'm Jay, stuck as the orange squid for
Or,
now.
or yellow.
Orange.
Sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I ran a review of Star Wars Edge of the Empire last week on my own show, Let's Metagame, and these are the folks that played in the game that I described in that. So we're going to talk about how the game went down and some into more detail than we actually went in before, so it's important to say that there are some spoilers in this video, and that if you don't want any spoilers, you should probably stop watching now. But anyway, so before we begin, what characters did you guys play, and what do you remember of them?
I was Pash, the dashing rogue smuggler, who managed to fluke his way just enough past the charm roll stuff that I didn't look completely useless at it, but as everyone who knows me knows, I can't roll dice. So.
I agree.
That's very true.
We're quite grateful for it most of the time.
Yeah, we are.
You can roll dice poorly at least, but
It's not really something to be like a defining trait. I think you want.
so
Okay.
who or
Yeah,
what
you-
were you, Dace?
I was 41 Vex, and I'm going to say get lumped with this character. I know it wasn't the case, but shut it. I got lumped with the literal healbot.
Dace is
It's a
a
droid.
Da-
It's a droid, which is a form of robot, and its main purpose was to heal people. In fact, it was his main purpose. That's what he wanted to do.
Dace is whingy, and he got to pick his character last. Although he did get two surprise extra options, so he's just being whingy.
I am.
But-
I am.
Yep. And finally, we had Jane. Who are you again?
Jay, yep, I played Lowrick the Wookiee, the great hero, the Wookiee, who liberated the droid, or stole, depending on your viewpoint, you know.
So
I prefer to think of as liberated without permission.
Okay.
So, yep. He was quite good, you know, bit of a close combat guy, best gunner, you know, all-round guy, and turned out to be a social expert when it came to preventing awkward situations.
We'll get to that. But what do you three remember of why your characters were in the mission and what they were trying to do? And this is a bit of a memory test.
Well,
I know. I had dealings with a certain hut who didn't like me for some reason that I cannot really remember. I think it was something to do with losing all the smuggling goods and something like that, and getting the ship destroyed. And so I had to leave because of the hut.
Yep. I had to leave Moss Shutta, which was the starting zone. Okay. What about you, Healbot?
Yeah.
What was your prime directive?
I actually remember quite a lot of this backstory because there's not really a lot in it. The Vex got I'm going to say stolen because essentially what happened is he thought he was
Liberated.
signing up. No, before that, he signed up thinking that he was going to like get all this like awesome medical knowledge and like all these exchanges for the hut in exchange for some like minor services. And basically they were like, no, that was a lie, and clamped some restraining bolt thing on him and basically forced him to heal the gladiators in the gladiator pit, which is where he met Rick the Wookiee, who was like, wow, you're quite good at keeping me alive. And he was like, yeah, it's almost like I was purely designed for this fact.
Okay.
that's not true. Don't put yourself down. You can also repair stuff.
Well, I mean, it's important to know.
Boo.
I should probably suggest that Jay and Dace's interpretations of their characters' friendship may differ, and may even differ from how it was written in the backstories of the characters.
Oh, I thought it was glorious. The Wookiee rescuing / stealing his healbot. It was truly something special. It really was.
But
Uh,
comedy right
popular.
there.
So,
Yeah.
so what was the Wookiee's main objective?
The Wookiee's main objective, I think, was just to escape being in Gladiator for Timo the Hutt. Yes, Timo the Hutt,
Timo
of
the
course.
Hutt,
How could
yeah.
we? Yeah. Never underestimate the power of the of the Hutt code.
You fail so hard.
Oh,
You
Captain
couldn't
Timo.
get that joke out for laughing at your own joke.
oh, you've got to love Timo.
For anyone unfortunate enough to play League of Legends, for your sins, he's also your fellow player, Jay. But okay, so do you guys remember how the story started? For the benefit of for the audience, I should probably say this. Basically, as the game starts, the characters are sort of thrust into a chase sequence where they're being chased by the forces of Timo the Hutt, as previously mentioned, who's a big fat Hutt cartel mob boss who, for various reasons, wants to capture the PCs, and somehow they've all managed to find each other and are running away from a gang of heavies. Um, so the first scene, I think, basically the game throws you into is like you've just arrived in this pub, and you've got maybe 5 seconds to react before the heavies find you in there.
Yeah, you have
Uh,
5 seconds to
yeah.
load up the Cantina Band music.
Yep.
10-hour Cantina Band YouTube video. If you're a GM, you should have that one on standby, by the way.
I did cringe as the GM, but yeah, everyone else seemed to love it, so I just took it in the chin. But
You
Yep.
that iconic music.
right,
Yeah.
So yeah, we
Man,
show up in this bar. It's such a Star Wars scene.
what when Han Solo, Chewbacca, and C-3PO run into the pub? I don't know if it happened in Star Wars, but like that's basically who your characters were. Except you.
Well-
Yeah, but yeah, you're chased by what they called the
The
Pigmen.
whatever they are.
Yeah,
We've got an actual race.
Star Wars fans.
It was Gamorrean Guns.
Gamorreans, that was the one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with that one. Experts
The-
all in Star Wars us.
The useless flipping pig people.
So yeah, me and Rick, the Wookiee, head in a booth while. We should probably also mention that there was actually another player in this session. Playing,
He who shall not be named because he's not in this video.
but playing what's her name?
Oscara.
Oscara.
Oscara,
Twilight,
Twilight.
whatever they're called.
Twi'lek, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, that was the Twi'lek Harry with the big two-handed rifle.
Carbine. So
Yeah, so not
Big
really
bit-
that big or heavy.
Big blasty gun. is what
she
really
had the biggest gun out of all of us, but which never mind. So she
Let's not.
so she ran out to there's a stage with dancers on it, so she
Of
basically
course.
ran backstage and
with all the other Twi'lek dancers.
Yep.
and our droid decided to
Stand at the bar.
stand
Yep,
at the bar and,
tight.
Look casual. Beep, beep.
yeah.
They will never see me. Beep, beep, beep. Like, do you sell
So-
oil?
Every-
The Wookiee managed to hide and make himself, not immediately obvious. But
At
the
this
droid.
To
It's
be
the point
fair,
that-
I thought the bar had more people than just us.
No, it did have more people.
Yeah,
it
like
did.
two other people.
Yeah,
the
no, but like,
bartender and the other dancer.
you're a crazy, unique-looking sort of C-3PO style droid with like buzzsaws on your arms and shit. Like,
Anyway,
and
what
you also
I-
failed. You also
I
failed
feel-
your conceal roll.
yes, everybody at this
Wasn't
point
the
had to
conceal,
make
it was
yeah.
It was
deceive?
impersonate, whoever it was, yeah.
Yeah. Everybody had to make a roll of some kind in order to basically blend in or hide or do whatever they wanted to set up an ambush. And there was different things you could do. And the game, because this was the point where the game showed you how skill tests work. Do you guys remember how that went down? The skill test, like what you
Yeah.
thought of the mechanic?
I
Yeah,
passed.
it was-
Jay
yep, I
passed,
passed.
and our other player passed, and Dace
Dace
failed.
didn't.
Even though we all had the same dice pool.
So you actually
from
didn't hear
you,
that.
you had a much better dice pool than me because you were hiding, and
Oh,
funnily
I-
enough,
That was
medical
your
droids
choice.
are not the best liars.
You went to the bar. Don't act as though this was our fault.
I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying you had a better dice pool.
I guarantee you we had the same dice pool.
As-
Wookiees cannot hide.
As you can see, I am demonstrably correct when I say that Dace likes to whinge. Now,
Nope.
well, what did you guys actually think of the mechanic though? Since it was the first time it showed it off in a relatively easy role that you were intended to pass.
As with that style of mechanic for dice, they work fine, but I do have a bit of an issue with the fact that you have to compete for successes along with boons. I'd rather you just kind of had a thing where if you got enough successes, you got a boon, rather than having to compete for, actually, especially considering the dice pools tend to be quite small. I mean, it works a lot better when you have a larger dice pool, but when you've got such a small dice pool, it's often it's so annoying to get constantly, as that happens with as much later, which we'll talk about later on, getting like 4 dice, and 8 boons, no successes
the-
consistently.
Yeah.
The way the game works, for anyone watching that hasn't seen a review of it, successes are basically one symbol in the dice, and they're like sort of lots of multiple different types of dice. There's successes and failures, which cancel each other out, and there's boons and threats, which cancel each other out.
Advantages, it's called in Star Wars.
Oh,
Boon,
yeah,
Boon
advantages.
is the Wiford
Wif-
3 version, which is
Um,
basically the same mechanic.
yeah.
Wiford 3.
Moving on. So yeah, advantages are like secondary effects. So you want to get more successes and failures, and then you look at your advantages and threats afterwards to see if you can get any extra benefits or fuck ups. But right. So Neil, you didn't like the fact that you could sometimes get boons and not successes.
Yeah, I think the fact the odds it was fine when you start getting, like if you're rolling one of your character's primary dice pools, it didn't feel as bad because the odds of not rolling successes weren't particularly high. But when you're dealing with your medium or your small ones, it was so frustrating the amount of times you'd go like, okay, 4 dice. Okay, cool. Something really freaking awesome happens, but I didn't succeed at talking to this one person who really should have just been persuaded.
What did you two think?
I honestly don't have a problem with it. I kind of like the mechanics. Okay, the success attempts and stuff you're not particularly good at are quite low, but once you get proficiency dice and stuff, I don't know. I think it's probably fine.
I agree, like, because I've read some of the later stuff in it, and once you boost up your skills, you turn the green dice into yellow ones, skill dice into or ability dice into proficiency dice, and they have a lot more chances at getting successes. So
Yeah, it was just the
Yeah.
early stuff because obviously I can only talk about the early stuff because that's all I've seen.
yeah, but in most
Uh,
games when you start off, you usually do get sort of rubbish at your secondary skills. Like, think about
Yeah, but I mean, it just has that added frustration of going yes, success. Oh wait, no crap, it's advantage. It just feels like the game is trolling you as you play it.
I can get down with that.
Of course you can.
There was a couple of times where even things you were really skillful at but not proficient in, like it felt like it was awkwardly difficult to succeed.
As is your
Like,
our other player, but later on.
oh yeah, but like you could, yeah. For example, the additional player had like with some dice rolls later on that we'll cover later again, obviously. We had like 4 of these green ability dice, which have a fair number of successes on them, but also like double boon or double advantage on some
They've got the
phrasings.
same advantages. Same advantages as
Well,
successes, I
to,
think.
to,
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
fair to the game, every challenge at the start was 1 difficulty dice, was 1 purple, which is the opposite of green, and you got 2 green ones normally. So as long as you weren't rubbish at your skill and only getting 1 green dice, then you have double the chance theoretically to get a success.
Yeah, but
So-
you're still essentially rolling 1 dice because the purple one still had a good chance of cancelling out your green. So you took 1.
About as much chance as your extra green had of succeeding, though.
Mm,
So it works out, I think, about 2/3 success, 1/3
Yeah.
fail.
The system is fine. It just seems a bit awkward at the start, I feel.
yeah.
But-
I'm sure once you could look, because like things like the things you're specifically really well trained in, like healing for me, close combat for the Wookiee, like you were really unlikely to fail those things.
Did you?
So it made you feel like the character, like, oh yeah, this is my powerhouse. This is where I should be doing stuff. But
Did
they weren't
you?
always common enough.
Did you feel that your characters were quite min-maxed?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like,
Yeah.
As the Wookiee, if I wasn't smashing something, I was kind of pointless.
You were a hired
Uh,
gun as well. You didn't even fire a gun that often.
No, who creates a Wookiee that doesn't have a bowcaster? I mean, what's the point?
Well, Rick
Free
doesn't need
Rits.
one. Rick just used to hit people with his axe mace club thing.
I think it was a
Vibro axe.
vibro axe.
Okay.
But,
Alright.
You can probably guess who isn't the biggest Star Wars fan here, but I like it still, as long as it's got a red lightsaber.
Yeah,
But,
because all of us know so much about Star Wars.
I have a fair amount of knowledge. But,
All right, so like in that scene, then the Gamorreans came in, and luckily they didn't spy anyone except for Dace, who was just stood next to the bar going beep beep beep.
originally, when you did that, you didn't hear that he'd passed. You almost had them walking out, and then I think I opened
You didn't
my
hear that he failed.
Yeah. And I thought he'd passed, and it turned out he'd failed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I had them all walking out like dumbstruck. Then they're like, "Where are these guys?" And then, then it turned out the robot had actually failed, and they went to attack him, and we rolled initiative.
Which the droid is also shit at.
I,
Yeah. droids that are not meant to be in combat don't do combat.
Yeah, but it
Who
doesn't.
would have thunk it?
In the Star Wars system, though, it didn't actually matter because the way the initiative
Yeah.
works is that everyone rolls, and that gives you slots in the initiative track, and you then fill them up. And we did it at the start of combat, but I did read in one of the comment responses to your review video, Greg,
Mhm.
that someone was
Yeah.
saying that it actually works that you can allocate it every turn.
Yeah, you can change it every
we
round.
weren't sure, so we went with at the start of combat.
Um,
No,
yeah, I
changing it every round would have.
wouldn't have changed much. Like,
It wouldn't have
it
changed much, but
it would have changed Hee-Haw.
yeah, but
It
yeah,
would have given it would have given more variables to it. I mean, we won most combats fairly definitively, but it'd have been a nice option.
a nice option. But like, I found that out fairly soon after, and like, it wouldn't have changed anything like from any of the fights.
No,
'Cause,
no, not at all.
The
But
powerful thing I think that would be is putting someone at the bottom of the initiative track and then moving them. It's like your most powerful combat characters. You stick them at the bottom and then the top, and just like like double up on damages before they get to attack or whatever.
Well, what we did was we
It really
we had
is
the
for
Wookiee go
ambitious.
last. We had the Wookiee go last because he's close combat, so we could shoot into the melees without worrying too much about if
Getting
there's too
the-
many fuck ups.
yeah, gaining the threat dice. So
Yeah.
which would have happened, or setback dice they're called. Sorry.
Alright,
And also, what you could theoretically do is have situations where you have the melee guy making sure he goes last, so that when the enemy meleeers charge in, then he just has to melee them and not have to waste one of his maneuvers or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, or when they get closer, they can then charge. Okay, so you fought some green space pigs.
with clubs.
No, they had axes. They had
Did they?
that.
I
Yep.
thought they had clubs.
Yeah, I mean, no, they had axes.
Sorry.
That's a lot more
Twilight.
dangerous than I was expecting.
Well, actually, what they had was cudgels, but the art has a big axe. So I just presume,
Alright,
I just
okay.
presume that cudgel is space pig for axe.
Rather than club.
Yeah.
Our Twilight did some table dancing.
Oh yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah.
She got engaged with
The space pig, they got married and had several kids.
That was a beautiful ceremony.
Yep.
Yeah.
engaged
The
in
wiki,
close
the
combat.
wiki decided.
That's what I was gonna say. They would get like,
So yeah, she ran across all the tables and sort of shot him in the back.
all right. So once you'd disposed of these guys fairly easily, and the space pigs ruled the day that they would ever evolved. What do you? Here's a tough one. Do you remember what happened next?
We
Yeah,
over-
actually, before we left, there was a brief moment of hilarity where you informed us that if we had somehow catastrophically failed that combat, the bartender turns out to be some sort of superhero who saves the day 1v4.
Yeah, I felt the need to tell the guys this. I wouldn't have normally done it, but since we were just testing out the pre-dit, I thought I'd inform them what happened if they'd somehow managed to lose against these really, really, really pathetic goons. And basically, this random barman says, "The good news for you is that I happen to know that there's a freighter in landing bay Org right now," and that he says this when they wake up, like just like, "Yeah, leave, guys." And it's just sort of really like, "Oh, we didn't have to fight after all." But I can see why they did it, because like if you were just a new party and you get like owned in the first fight ever, and the GM didn't have any suggestions what would happen, then they'd be like, "Well, it was fun playing, guys."
Well, I guess you all go back to the hut, and that's GG.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Okay,
playing, guys.
That could be a very interesting game.
Probably not something for beginners.
So with that, interesting. Timo the Hut eats you.
But yeah, so we went to the junkyard to pick up a part for a
for the hyperdrive.
YT something.
A Millennium Falcon style
Millennium
craft.
Falcon.
Yeah, Corellian chip.
It was the crate fang.
The great fan, yeah.
This is when we discovered that Wookiees apparently are not scary individuals.
They are, just you weren't.
Yeah, towering 8 foot tall behemoth.
Before we say we discovered it, what was the situation you were in?
So
We-
we
We
had
were
to get this part. I can't remember. So the bartender tells you about the part, or
Yes.
the bartender says
That helpful,
kindly
all-powerful bartender.
Yeah.
said,
kindly get the fuck out of my bar, and by the way you can get off planet this way.
yeah, and tells
Suggest you do it.
so
basically tells you to go to the junk shop, and someone called Captain Trex owns a spaceship called the Crate Fang. He needs a part for it. I believe it was called the Hypermatter Reactor Igniter. I like to call it Doohickey. But,
Yeah, the MacGuffin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They doubly do.
And the shop owner was called Varn. Do you remember much about him? He was a human male.
Yeah, I remember
he-
how generic he was.
Yeah, I remember that he wasn't some strange alien.
He came in and told us he got what we need. So we then tried to various techniques to be like, yeah, just give it to us, add it to our tab.
I remember
we
slightly
work
more
with this
complex
guy.
than that. I remember three of you trying to do something different all at once. So this shopkeeper had like one wiki saying like, "You better sell us this." He had like
That's not what
Pash
the wiki was saying.
It
The
Pash
wiki
Neil.
can't talk,
Okay,
basically.
and then he's like, like Neil as Pash going like, "Let's negotiate with this." And then he had the other guy as Oscara. I think was Oscara was like, "You should really sell it to us, please." And it was just the three different attempts. Neutral negotiation. Come on, and like yeah.
Meanwhile, I stood at the back and was
Beep,
like, "Yup."
I think we
Beep.
discussed stuff and we went for I just
I
asked.
I just remember how the discussion went though. It wasn't a discussion. It was only discussion after you'd all said you were doing shit. So I just like had this image of a really schizophrenic party, like three different buyers. We want to buy this. Like
To be fair, I think once we actually looked up the rules for how hard it was to intimidate someone, I think we decided again. I think I decided against actually attempting it.
there was not much we in this encounter until like eventually when like you agreed to roll with one person to roll the dice. What was the one you actually went for in the end? I can't remember.
It was
I
me.
I
pretended-
remember. Yeah.
We paid for it, and but we were pretending to be part of the Captain Rex's crew.
We
Yeah.
also
Uh,
we bartered them down. I think
Yeah, we
Yeah,
bartered
I
down.
actually mildly mucked up in that one because I told you the price that was already when it was bartered down, and so I had to just take that money off it again. So like,
Woo!
I was like, oh well. So yeah, you got the part.
Not like we were doing anything with those credits anyway.
You convinced them that you were working for Trex. I think someone said something that was suspicious at that point. Like afterwards, I just added another role, which is a lie. I think I can't remember what it was, but someone said something that implied you weren't working for the guy, or like you didn't.
Was that not at the space station?
Yeah, I think that was at the spaceport.
That was at the
probably.
space-
Oh
station.
yeah, it was at the spaceport.
Yeah, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
So you remember the next encounter then?
Yeah. Well, the next encounter was on the way there. That was when
No.
Rick learned that you don't run headlong into stormtroopers.
No, that was
no,
yeah,
that was
later.
after.
That was
That was
after.
later.
Was that later?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was later. Man.
Because
Oh,
that's
so
when
it
we were
was, yeah.
actually going to.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was the optional encounter that could be slotted in there.
So I had to go first to. It was kind of the. Kind of like the equivalent of air traffic control area because the ship was on lockdown. It was grounded.
The spaceport control facility.
That was it. And so you had to like unground it or like release the docking clamps. or something like that.
Unclamp it. Yeah.
So we had to go there and get in and unclamp it and then go to the crate, whatever it was.
The crate
Great
fang.
fang.
Crate fang.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting this thing's name.
It was on
so
like, landing port D, which there was some confusion about its actual location.
yeah, we weren't
Yeah.
sure where this thing was.
Yeah, neither was I.
It's just there outside the window, guys. Look, you just walked down this stick. Oh, it's actually across town.
To be
Thanks,
fair,
Greg.
to be
Yeah, that
fair,
was a
we
weird
had
one.
there was actually a really nice. The beginner set comes with really nice maps and stuff like that. So
Yep, they're pretty awesome maps. Maps
Oh,
of the ship,
that
maps of
was-
the town,
That was
maps
such a
of the-
farce.
Oh, the maps were good.
Yeah,
No. I'm not disagreeing with the maps were good. I'm disagreeing with our extra player practically throwing a hissy fit when we wanted to fold them.
Ah, it wasn't that bad.
that was funny. I like in my heart I agreed. I'm gonna back him up in this one. I was like, oh, that's fine. I suppose I don't really care.
Yeah, but see,
Yes.
the noise you just made there for 2 seconds, he made for like 15.
Fuck, you're just being sarcastic, and he might watch
I'm
this.
really not.
And he might watch this.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Okay,
His voice
again,
gets annoying
Thomas
at the
is
time.
Dace is Wingy. So you got to the spaceport.
Yep.
Yep.
We got to the spaceport.
Do you remember-
There was
so
two
we get
guards
stopped.
outside.
Stopped at the door. Yeah.
A couple of guards were like, "What are you doing, citizens?"
Yeah, it's kind of like weird and generic. What was weird was that we just passed ourselves off as the new crew to this ship. Then someone walked straight past them without it being questioned. We kind of assumed that they give us weird looks for some reason, so we kind of assumed that the guy
we
that
felt
just walked
big
past
smoking.
them was the guy we were meant to be like pretending we were with.
do you want to know what that actually was?
It was the guy, wasn't it?
Wasn't it the guy just worked there, didn't he?
That's probably what I told you at the time. What it actually was that I misread something and it said someone walked past. What I actually said was the players might just try and walk past. I misread that and just chucked the guy in there. And but a credit to myself, you guys thought it was legit.
We were confused because
legit.
it stopped us.
Yeah, no, I just decided he was a random janitor.
Yeah, but
Oh,
why
that's-
did they look confused then?
Because at the time I wasn't sure. Oh, they looked confused because you guys hadn't said hi to him, and like he was a janitor from the ship, the Crate Fang.
Alright, okay.
Alright, okay, fair enough.
So we went in and
No, that just
Don't
confused us.
talk to the help, please.
Beep. Okay.
Says
It's
the
not an
hell.
R2 unit.
Okay, would you want to guess? Oh no. But,
I don't talk like that twat either.
again, you know, they call me Grumpy Scotsman, whingy guy. But right.
I'm killing
Yeah, you are. But
you.
okay.
I'm stealing
That
your
was
chat.
that was almost endearing. Anyway, so having
They eventually,
masqueraded,
managed to get inside to this crazy control room full of all these people who are busily doing their job. Then a plot hook happened.
that was when I decided because we thought the Crate Fang was just through the window. I decided that okay, in this situation, I'm not that useful. I shall wander over off to the side and take what I thought was an exit to the building, which later turns out to be quite useful.
was that not like
You
the,
wandered
what
off
was the
to
exit? Was actually the staff room?
you wandered off to the staff room. It was like even from the map that you could have in front of you, it was evidently the staff room. It had like a TV and sofas and stuff.
Yeah, but it's got another door that doesn't say where it goes on
And
the other side.
I think you dragged Healbot with you.
no,
I
that's
didn't-
later
no,
on.
no, that was later on.
All right, okay. And
I'm pillicking about at this point. Going.
do you guys remember what happened here? Though the random little plot device thing and like the women.
So there's an Imperial shuttle that's coming down to land. A Lambda class shuttle is landing, so everyone's kind of distracted by that.
Yep, they all went up to the window and were like, "Oh wow, this doesn't happen often. This is scary."
So I don't know why that was, but obviously there's a few Imperials around because we had evidence of that.
Yep.
But so yeah, our other player decided to go and
Just bluff his way through.
try and bluff.
There was a sort of a woman who was the foreman sort of thing of the area.
Yeah, what was her name? It was like controller,
Overseer Bryn.
overseer Brendan. So yeah, but our other player decided to go into the side room and be like, try to bluff his way, saying, "Can we just get this ship sorted? We need to leave."
Yep.
But he did not roll well.
Overseer Bryn is very disciplined, so it does so you can try and convince her to unlock the docking clamps, but
He didn't
she's
try
quite
on
clever.
her. He didn't try on her.
No, he went to the guy that was sitting in the staff room and was like, "She said just to unlock the ship. Do you fancy doing it?" And did you not like
He
fail?
failed. So
He failed and rolled more disadvantages than advantages. So the guy immediately went and was like to the controller, like, "This random
No, the
pillock was
controller.
yeah,
No,
controller
she
showed up.
appeared behind him.
sure,
and was
yeah,
like,
yeah. The disadvantage points meant that she overheard the situation. She overheard the like a few words. from it,
No,
and
actually, he had an advantage there.
yeah.
The advantage was that
Yeah, yeah.
she appeared and sent
Oh,
him away
yeah.
without explanation.
yeah, before he could explain
Oh,
what.
that's
So it gave him a way to try and escape from the situation, having buggered up. That was it. Yep.
And I think I tried to rescue him and failed.
Yeah, Overseer Bryn was not having any of your shit, you guys.
Yeah,
No
So
one was.
then we were told to leave, so we went to leave.
Meanwhile, the
and that,
located
and that was
staff room.
that was based off advantage as well. It could have almost been a fight. Like
Yeah, and so
the heel bot was just stood still, like beep beep, not even with these. So
You
it's like,
tried-
Yeah, I was just standing next to the controls, like, and I was like, I have pretty good computer skill. No one's watching me. I'll just unlock the docking clamps.
Yep.
Succeeded, but got a threat. So Overseer Bryn teleported across the room. He's like, "What are
She
you
didn't teleport,
doing?"
She walked over.
yeah, she walked over because she
I
left the
know,
staff
but
room
it was
after
just like she
marched
just
those
been in the
guys out.
staff room, and then like immediately like came right to me and was like,
We set up an
Okay.
alarm. That was it. That was
Okay,
the
Oh
reason
yeah,
why.
yeah, I
you
forgot
set the
about
alarm.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? You know what? Even if she had done that, I'd have been okay with that, considering that it wasn't a particularly big building, and she was
No,
literally
it
escorting
wasn't.
people past you, and just seen this random
What are you doing, bro?
seen C3PO on her computer, like beep 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 beep. Beep.
So now our Wookiee is
Yeah, that
observing the
was-
situation. We can't help anymore because
Having been escorted out of the building.
Yeah.
we're
For
being
your
escorted.
bollocks.
The Wookiee decided to take it into his own paws. Do they have paws or is it hands? We'll go with hands.
Give hands.
Yeah, we'll go with hands. Decided to take it into his own hands. So he marched up to the lady and demanded to know what was going on.
No, he didn't.
Unable, despite his eloquence, managed to be understood. Decided that he would take his business elsewhere. So he picked up Vex and just walked away. Which
Oh.
basically resulted in me completely failing the role, but rolling enough advantages to confuse her for a moment.
I decided that she didn't believe what he said, but for the advantages and in the interest of not killing off the player party, no, well, actually, only based off the advantage, decided that she was like dumbfounded by this crazy Wookiee after meeting these two crazy assholes and this crazy C3PO, and like because they're such a clearly not friends of each other, because why would these disparate characters even know each other? She was just confused enough, long enough for them to get away. But not for long enough when the Imperials
No,
arrived.
because we walked outside into like 3 units.
So,
of
yeah.
Not quite, not quite. One of you guys went off to go and
Yeah.
buy some stuff.
Our other
Of
player
course, yeah.
decided that the droid was too conspicuous because it was being looked for because it had been stolen. So he
Yeah.
went off to grab robes for the droid
Yeah.
to put over it. Unfortunately, this is the part of the encounter where you get jumped by six.
Two squads of stormtroopers, three in each squad, jump you guys from different parts of the town, and that's where the big town map comes into it. And since you guys are immediately separated, and I couldn't have you fighting outside the actual station itself, the control room, because that would just make the fight too big for you, because the other guys would jump in as well. I was like, okay, well, I suppose I'll just roll off and see who gets jumped by the stormtroopers first. I thought we like to be quite harsh on players. I wasn't going to make it the 3-man group. I thought it might be the 1-man group, so. Yeah. Split up and look for clues, and split up doesn't often help in these sorts of situations. And I think I can't remember how long it took, but we had a lot of roll-offs, and eventually
We were rolling.
Our other player.
It was the individual versus the group, but it was just one person from the group. And it was just
Yep.
like random roll-offs, and whoever got the more successes was the group that didn't get jumped. And well,
in future, if I did that, I would actually just do it 1 green dice, 1 purple dice, and see if you get success or not.
yeah.
And blank being a reroll. I think it would be roughly the same, but probably quicker.
And it might not result in the one player getting jumped.
Oh, it'd probably be a mathematical chance. But anyway, one player got. You say jumped. I mean, like I made sure you were close enough to each other to.
And it didn't really get jumped because
You ran away.
true to Star Wars fashion, stormtroopers can't hit anything.
Yeah, but referenced that in the video as well. Like they just.
I beg to differ. They can hit stuff.
If you've
Or
ever
they hit you. You
So-
ran at them.
to think of what happened here, think of episode 4, where Han chases the stormtroopers down the corridor. Just the moment where he turns the corner and sees all of them and starts running back, screaming down the corridor. That's kind of what it ended up like.
Yeah, and then the other 3 guys were like aware of the blaster fire and spotted some stormtroopers, the other squad, and a fight happened. I think you killed all but one of the stormtroopers, and they almost killed your Wookiee.
Yeah.
It took him to half health. It didn't almost kill him. It was just given the
Yeah,
Wookiee's got such an insane amount of hit points,
yeah.
and if it hit any other character, it would have pretty much wasted them.
Kind of glossed over stress here, but because it didn't actually come
Yeah.
up. Because stress is a mechanic where you kind of have to balance your stress. And
It's
if
your
you suffer-
it's your mental health.
If you suffer
Yeah.
too much, you can
not-
you start taking challenge dice, don't you? If you suffer too much.
Yeah, you just pass out if you run out.
Yeah, no, but I think there's a mechanic that you can start taking challenge dice.
Might be in the main rules, but I don't think it was in this one. I might be
It
wrong, but I
definitely
don't
was-
remember it.
I don't remember it being the starter thing because
Try
our
the
extra player, the Twilight, was on like quite a lot of stress.
It definitely didn't. If it is in the beginner's guide, it definitely didn't make it clear, at least as
Check
far
it
as
back. Or no, I think it might be in the full rules, and it might only be.
Yeah, I imagine it being the full rules. Like they didn't seem to make things too difficult in this.
Or would
or did they? But we'll get to that. So you guys beat the stormtroopers. One of them ran away because, like, yeah, despite being a stormtrooper, he decided that he'd lost. tactical retreat. And at this point, I think you got a bit worried.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. I was
No,
completely
no, no,
fine.
we're perfectly fine. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it
our
wasn't.
other player was kind of bricking it, but
Well, yeah, yeah, you two are just bastions of bravery, like,
yeah,
yeah, stormtroopers and all the potential
per-
chance for 20 or 30 more. Pish!
the person
Yeah.
that wasn't here, it was a coward. We were all brave and noble, and no,
Yep.
we were like,
I don't. We
fucking-
were. Yeah.
we're like, get the hell off this rock.
Yeah, the militaristic Twi'lek was like, oh no! But, right, so, yeah, so you guys then pointed to the spaceship in the map and ran there.
We'll go that way.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is where visual
I
aids and maps and markers come into
expecting.
play.
I was expecting a fight against the Trandoshan at this point.
Trex.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. The dinosaur-looking race from outer space, and the bad guy.
That was actually supposed to come up.
Trex.
I can't remember why I didn't do it, but I think it was because of the way things had panned out. It didn't make sense. So like, it was actually going to be nice to be surprised at the end of it. I was going to have come up. I was going to have it come up after. But Trex is basically on board the ship, and when I realized I'd fucked up and didn't have him like make that clear originally, I was like, fuck, I'll just have him like somewhere randomly secret snoozing or something. Then like later on, be like, "Ah! Huh?" But yeah, you were supposed to get a wee fight with Trex, but I'm not sure if it was timing or like we wanted to get food or not, or I just forgot. But it didn't appear. But it's made sense to me. It could have been anywhere in that bloody town. So
And then we had our favourite part of the whole encounter, the
Yep.
spaceship fight with TIE fighters.
mm.
And
This is
yeah,
clearly the most balanced piece of RPG fighting I've ever.
now this
ever
is weird
experienced.
because
Yeah, this was a weird one.
in Greg's other series, the comments in response to this story were that most people don't find the TIE fighters that bad. We had
Yeah.
a different experience.
Yep. I found the TIE Fighter fight was pretty brutal.
This also doesn't get helped by the fact that Greg rolls amazingly against players whenever he's a GM.
Yep. Yeah,
Yep.
I can always
Yep.
always guarantee that you're going to get humped when it's a Greg NPC rolling against you.
What can I say? I roll dice well. No, I don't always roll dice well. This is
Just most of the time.
this is just more evidence.
Just mostly average.
This is just-
which,
Yeah,
you
mostly
know.
average. Mostly average. This is just lies and slander from players who can't take the fact that their ship was blown to smithereens.
They also introduced the Destiny points thing at this point, which now had us
Ah,
shitting bricks.
Wasn't that a bit earlier? Destiny points.
Yeah, they had
it was,
it.
that was a long time earlier actually.
They
because
had
you guys,
introduced it by this point. We
that
hadn't
was
brought
for
it up.
it was the Stormtrooper fight was the first time it was appeared in.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Like
Yeah,
it
it was
might have-
after that. It was either that or just before it.
it was just before it. Yeah, before just as you got your XP, the interlude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
And you guys had also missed a fight, by the way, in the previous encounter because you snuck by the security droids, which I now realise is why I missed out the Treks because they put that in before, even though you're supposed to get the security droids first. So I continued on downwards because I went right to the sneaking past section. So I didn't read the we have a bounty to turn in section, which tells you the Treks is there. So actually, it was just badly written.
It was
Oh,
weird
that's
because
Red.
on the whole, it wasn't badly
Clearly,
written.
he's
No, no,
standing
if
with those
if you
security
see it,
droids,
it's like
and we just ran past him.
It has like headings where like it's if they do this option, and one of the options happens to mention that Trex is on the ship, and the other ones don't. So I didn't look at that one because I did the one you guys did. But anyway,
That's fine. In our choose your own adventure style, in this version, he wasn't on the ship.
yeah, no, I just realised looking at it. So encounter 7 even.
Episode.
Yeah, this is the script for episode 7.
Star Wars Episode 7 features a Wookiee, a droid.
Yep, surprisingly
Twilight.
close to episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Unless metagame, we kind of glossed over this and said we just died. In reality, we didn't actually realise we were dead until like 2 turns after it happened.
Yeah.
Until we
When-
read the rules.
But I just went, no.
Yeah.
And then like I was like, guys, can you give me a wee minute to just no.
It was when you started handing the book round for others to you were like, I must be reading this wrong. Can I get this? Can I get a second opinion? So I looked at it and was like,
His first
I
hit
looked at
was
it and
like
was like-
9 damage.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
11 damage was what we took on the first
So
turn.
the health total of their
Which is
ship.
what-
The health total of their ship,
22.
I should point out, is 22. Their armor's 3, so it takes away
Yeah.
3 from any damage they take. And they took, I think was it 12 in the first shot? You took?
No, it was 11 on the 11 on the first round after armor.
Right, which made it.
which
No,
meant
no,
in
no.
the first
I don't think that could be after armor.
No,
Yeah,
no,
it's
no. There's no
after.
way because the
It was-
damage of the guns were not D10 plus.
It
Sorry,
would
it
be,
was just
that
6.
that was before armor, yeah, because I rolled 5 successes, damage 6, 5 successes.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. And there was two lots.
yeah. We're just talking the first roll here.
Yeah, the first roll. The first roll dealt 8 damage after armor, and then later on we worked out that actually doubled because TIE Fighters have a special rule where if they get one advantage dice roll, which is quite likely because they have so many dice to roll, and they've even got proficiency dice in there just for added, ownage. They get the free extra hit that counts as having the same roll as they previously had. Inflicts the same damage.
Which is why technically, because both the TIE fighters got to act before our gunners, we should have been blown out the sky or space before we even got to shoot back.
Yep. So yeah, like
We didn't actually realize this till 2 turns later, though.
Yeah.
And then at which point you guys did your heroic destiny point Kamehameha, which should have won. Which you'd think would be the moment where you'd kill 2 of the TIE fighters and then turn around and just survive against the last 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, the he who shall not be named cannot roll to save himself or the rest of the group.
At which point
every time.
I felt quite justified in blasting you guys out of the sky after that because it just felt
Yep.
like someone said that I shouldn't have done that, and I was like, I don't know, I think you guys would have been disappointed if I just went, oh, the TIE fighters do a crazy maneuver and you survive a turn, because then they wouldn't be really game at that point, would it? Like,
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been. Oh well, the GM's just letting us win.
yep. And as a one-shot pre-writ, but we didn't, like if we played the game properly, we'd have our own characters.
Did you actually destroy us? Like, because we like.
I feel like we survived.
No, we
just.
survived. We just couldn't be bothered playing.
No, I did roll the dice.
Yeah, but you didn't kill us.
Yeah. Okay, I rolled the dice, looked at them, and said, yeah, because your ship was no longer in action and you were basically destroyed. I didn't sit there and go, roll, ha ha ha. You're not dead yet, roll, ha ha ha. I thought, let's go get some pizza.
Yeah.
And then
ended as drifting in space to be continued for another time.
And the other guy sat for 10 minutes, like, bewilderedly looking through the book, like, no, it can't be like this.
It's really weird because it's easy to fix that encounters to give the airship
Linked.
more.
I thought there'd be a shield mechanic.
There is. That's what your defense is. So that one black dice that gets added.
Ah, right. It adds a black dice, a disadvantage dice sort of thing, or a threat to your roll, because it's. And you can also add to that by doing piloting maneuvers, which are actually really hard because TIE fighters are so fast. But yeah.
That's the other thing I think about the encounter that might have made it not as one-shotty. Was I'm pretty sure the TIE fighters are meant to do passes. I think we discussed this at the time because of just how they move.
The way that
I think it interprets that they're meant to do like they fly over, they shoot you one turn, then the next turn they're turning around and coming back, so you've got time to repair.
I don't think
But
that would have made a
given that
difference.
they killed us on the first pass, it made no difference.
Yeah.
But in general,
Hold on. Starship Combat uses distant range bands. I mean, I didn't see anything about passes. I don't think I ever got to that point, to be fair, because of where they start off. Like,
I can't see how that would
so
work.
I remember. I don't think it would work in that. I mean, I was thinking of doing passes at one point, but never got that far.
it's just if you think about how, obviously, if you think about it like in the movie sort of sense, the TIE fighters don't like hover; they do swooping like runs.
You've got to remember, like, we were following these rules to the letter specifically,
Aye, I know.
and it doesn't say that happens. And like, I wouldn't expect you guys to do passes. I mean, I could.
We didn't get a chance.
You got to remember they appeared and fired at you, like, and did like most of the damage in that first barrage.
Yeah.
The one thing I thought was strange is that I think the easiest way to fix that counter is to give our ship extra, just hull.
Yeah, 2 extra points of armor. I think it worked. We worked out. As
Yeah,
would
2
be-
extra points of armor makes such a difference against the linked, and also
Well, that would have helped a lot as well, because like you'd think the Crate Fang is probably going to be the player character ship after this point, so it'd be good to have that being particularly sturdy.
yeah, and also the
rather than being made of air and paper.
the quad gun should have been linked as well. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
someone
understand.
randomly said it was, and I was like, well, not in my book. Like, it doesn't happen.
Yeah, because we assumed it would be, and then we looked up and I was like, no, it's not. I was like, wow.
But okay, well, but the Starship combat actually did seem really cool. To be fair, I think let's ignore the balance for a second, because I think it's probably normally balanced. I've heard it's normally balanced, so let's ignore this encounter. What did you actually think of all the rules and options you had? And remember, these are the basic rules as well, so there's probably a lot more of them.
I thought it was really fun. It's nice to have like a combat that involves all the players doing different things but still contributing to the overall fight.
Yep.
As opposed to you can get some situations where, like, the bar fight, for example, I was basically in full defense mode because the droid just can't fight.
Hmm.
Like, he has a light blaster that he's not proficient in.
I
So
think
on
it-
average, I miss.
that's-
So
I
you
mean,
know,
it's
it's nice to be like in the repair room doing what
Mm.
I meant to be doing, which is like high computer, high mechanics skill.
Yeah.
I think it looks as if or it feels as if like the role-wise they've kind of taken a look at the Rogue Trader system for anyone that's played that and just kind of adapted it more.
That'd be
to fit
Warhammer
with the
40k
Star
Rogue
Wars.
Trader.
Yeah, sorry, that'd be what. Yeah, also by Fantasy Flight. I believe this one's by Fantasy Flight, isn't it?
Yeah, but I
Yep.
think it's the Wifrip 3 devs specifically, but I'm not sure.
They're allowed to look at their own stuff.
I
But,
know,
yeah,
yes.
it feels that sort of thing. They've taken a
They're-
look at it and
to be-
gone,
they're
what can it?
They're allowed to look at anything, not just
Yeah,
their own thing.
I know. You know
I
what I
do
mean?
think actually Sam Stewart, who was head of the Rogue Trader line for a while, I don't know if he is at the moment, was involved with the Star Wars stuff, so it might actually. 'Cause I don't know how big their team is, because they're sort of medium.
Sam Stewart as the writer of Edge of the Empire, so
Right, that makes sense. He was.
he's one of them.
He was the lead on Rogue Trader for a while. So
I think someone called Jay Little's the main one, but anyway, that's
yeah,
not
Jay Little, who Wifrip 3.
Yep. Okay. Well, what did you guys think of the game then overall? Like, and you can compare it to Whip 3 if you want, but I do expect it to be scathing of the latter.
I've never actually looked that deep at Wifrip 3, so I haven't had a chance to destroy the system.
Yeah, I'm unfair in Whip 3. I mean, you're never going to say that again.
Okay, it seems to be Wifrip 3 without a lot of the unnecessary clutter of Wifrip 3, like none of the cards and the weird character sheets and like the trackers and all that stuff that just takes up too much space on the table. All that stuff's gone, but it keeps kind of the core dice mechanics in.
And the
Sure.
dice were nicer. I know it's a little thing, but the dice were more clear. A lot of the Whip 3 dice I got with my sets were particularly, I don't know, blurry, and these ones were. There's less dice as well. I mean, I actually like the reckless and conservative mechanic, but I think it works not having it in this game at least.
Yeah, I think the system though that they used for Wifrip 3, I always thought it was a much more Star Warsy thing than it was a Wifrip thing. Wifrip should be dark and gritty, whereas Star Wars should be relatively light and like, you know, you're running through and you turn around and fire a blaster while you run away and that
Oh,
sort
yeah.
you're inviting the fanboy rage there, saying Star Wars isn't gritty.
Oh no.
But it's
That's
not
heresy, that is.
it's not dirty. It's not
It's not Wifrip gritty.
it's not.
Episodes 4, 5, and 6 were the worst. There you go, Neil. I've taken a bullet for you. Okay, what did you think, Dace?
No, it's not. I'm saying it, but it's Star Wars is a very clean setting. Like there's no blood and dark, and you never see
Depends-
anyone
It
being.
depends on Star Wars, yeah, but like this is based off of the original movies, I think, more than anything else. So
Yeah, it's got that
It's-
Star
it's
Warsy
a bit-
feel to
They're
it.
very clean deserts. Clean as
it's a 12A game. Like, what did you think, Dace?
I liked it. Honestly, for all the whinging I do, it's mostly for, well, because that's what I do.
Yeah, because you're a whinge
Um,
bastard.
Yeah.
It's not intentional at all. You're just like to whinge.
It's
The
my
Wingy
bit.
Scott.
That's what I do. I actually really liked it. I would have honestly, as I'm sure everyone will probably echo, I would have preferred to make my own character for it, so I could get a better feel for the overall character sheet and the system in general. But as a starter, not bad. Could be worse. Follows the trend from every other starter intro to games we've done, where it was easy, dead.
That's a ringing endorsement from Dace there. It could be worse. Let's see if Fantasy Flight put that on their
Well, I-
on their blogs.
No, let me clarify.
Oh no, we're gonna
It
move on
was
to
the-
Jay. No, it could be worse. It could be worse. Okay, Jay. What did you think?
I agree with most. Not necessarily it could be worse. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was a good system. I did feel that, and this is probably just because these are pre-writ characters. I mean, obviously we haven't seen the character creation. Your character did feel that he has one task and one task only. If he deviates from that, he'll mend him.
I mean, I was quite happy with that because it meant that if someone was new to the game, then their character had something to do in that scenario. I think it was written for all those
Yeah,
skills.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's probably just a situation of
Yeah.
pre-writ. Obviously, we haven't seen character creation, so it could be the case, but
I also liked the
I
intro scene.
suspect not.
I liked the intro scene because it was like, it wasn't like you all meet up in a bar, you're all friends. It was like, oh god, you're being chased. And then okay, it was you didn't know how bad, you didn't know the combat
We
system
did
yet.
meet up
So.
in a bar.
Something about the
You didn't
game.
meet up in a bar. You met up outside the bar, and then it started.
We didn't get to do anything till we were in the bar.
Something about the beginner set, which isn't about the game, but it's a good thing is that beginner set has a really good price point as well. It's like £23.
24. Yeah, 24, and I got a discount on it. I was like, yay.
So £24, which is a really good price to like allow someone to test the system. It comes with some of the dice, so
And enough to play with.
enough to play with. It was a good way to get those. You can also there's also a dice app for iPhones, and I can't remember if it's for Android as well, but
Probably.
so you can you don't have to buy lots of sets of dice. You can just buy the app, which is a cheaper alternative. I'm tempted to buy that book. It's out this week, and so
Yeah, the big one.
yeah, I need to go and pick up something else. So I'm tempted to go and buy the big rulebook and maybe give this another shot with proper characters. And
I'm still hoping they have an Empire book. Like, I would love to play a Sith or some sort of arsehole. I know you can play an arsehole in this, but a proper bad guy.
Yeah,
No,
I agree. I would like an Empire.
there is
That should-
Force users in this game. Obviously not in the pre-rec.
Yeah, someone said that Destiny points, not including the pre-writ or in the main rulebook, are supposed to only be used by certain people or generated by force sensitive people.
I know that Force dice is used by people, but I
Yeah.
don't know the Destiny point
Yeah,
things.
I mean, it's important. Like, a few folk that actually have played the beta rulebook did bring up random rules they didn't talk about. But that's because they don't appear in this, and I was reviewing the beginner set. And we were talking about the beginner set. Like, there's other things to this game, and it's probably got a lot of room to grow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping they do something that seems to be quite rare with these sort of like big space RPGs and actually include a lot of the other random races that still kick around. So rather than being stuck to human, Twi'lek, Wookiee, and
Yeah,
whatever
something that was like that. Something I was thinking about earlier today because I saw that there was on the Star Wars MMO there's like Ewok companions. I'm like, Ewoks are a random race on a random backwater moon. It's like the universe should feel bigger than the things that show up in the movies.
I'm okay with it. People want to see things in the
Yeah.
films and they play these games. That's perfectly
yeah.
fine. They should
Like,
have all of it.
what I'm saying is they should include rules for some of these races that kick around. Like
It depends how important races are to the rules. Because we haven't seen character gen, like, it might be actually they're quite similar to each other, and you just do. I don't know how the stats work yet.
that's true. We don't know how.
So like, it could be
I-
really easy. You could just make up your own alien, like, and that'd be that. Like, you might just be able to do it, and you don't need rules for it, or you might be able to work to
That'd
get into it.
That'd be interesting, but
Plus,
you never
I
know.
think- I think on that front, if you're going to try and appeal to like the people who want certain races, given that Star Wars extended universe is full of variably questionable
Yeah, but there's
races
races.
and things,
There's,
if you start appealing to one group going, well, we want these races, and then other groups would do
Nah,
the same
but-
thing, and you probably spend a lot of time
There's
generating rules for these when you could probably just make like an alien generator.
I would just leave it
Yeah.
to fans. Fans will do these things. That's-
or at least just have all the races that are mentioned in the films.
Yeah,
you
films is what they should base. I think it's films what they have the license for. To be fair, like a
Yeah.
sequel, like films style stuff. So they might even have extended universe. Anyway, I gave this 5 out of 6 ultimately, and I think you've seen the reasons why. Because I just think it's really got a lot of potential. And although not everyone's ideal, like it's because maybe the system or style might not be suited to me at some points. So like objectively, I actually found it 5 out of 6 because it wasn't perfect, but I found it really good and not much to complain about. Just for my own thoughts on it, because you guys given yours. So like that was our Edge of the Empire scenario, and unless anyone's got anything else to add to it or something that we haven't covered.
No, but I would recommend it to anyone that's either new to the Star Wars RPG or RPGs in general, because it was a well done introductory set, and as Neil has previously mentioned, it doesn't exactly break the bank.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm very tempted to pick up the book and maybe like try a one-off session. So we might talk about this again after having tried out the full rules.
Yeah, we could play that game called Dark Heresy at one point, and
Shut
It
up.
would be quite nice to play that again. It's a good laugh, but I'm starting to forget what happens in it.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's a nice system, but I don't know. I feel like it needs some tweaks. I mean,
If,
the psychic powers, man.
if anybody wants to volunteer to help me write Dark Heresy notes, just contact me at Team.
Yep.
Oh,
And once
video
you
started
contact.
with a shameless plug, it may as well end with one.
Yep. And on that, yeah, my shameless plug. And again, speaking
Yeah.
of shameless plugs, you'll see a link below. All right. So I think we'll say cheerio at that point, since it's probably been on for a little while now. So that's cheerio from Greg. Cheerio,
Neil?
you guys.
Yeah.
Right. Well, see you guys. This is Jay signing out.
This is Dace. Adios.
The one
Bye.
G1. Bye.
Bye, guys.
There we go.